There, it is here. President Obama is expected to sign an executive order tonight implementing $85 billion in cuts to the growth of federal spending, an idea he put on the table at the start of one of the biggest games of political poker in recent memory. We have Fox team coverage tonight. Chief political correspondent Carl Cameron reports this is just the beginning in a series of potential budget battles. But we begin with Chief White House correspondent Ed Henry on the president's exasperated reaction. Good evening, Ed.
Good evening, Brett. The president's top aides say any moment now he will sign that authorization ordering his budget office to start the cuts, leaving Mr. Obama to come out today and try to insist he's not to blame. President Obama called the forced cuts arbitrary and dumb, repeatedly framing this as a situation where if the economy goes south, it's not his fault.
Every time that we get a piece of economic news over the next month, next 2 months, next 6 months, as long as the sequester is in place, we'll know that that economic news could have been better if Congress had not failed to act.
Blame game, a strategy the president insisted just 3 days ago he would not engage in.
I'm not interested in playing a blame game. At this point, all I'm interested in is just solving problems.
Except the president waited until Friday, the day the cuts start falling into place, to try and solve the problem with Republican leaders in a meeting both sides knew would lead to nowhere. Then the president came out and in a 35-minute news conference blamed Republicans.
We just need Republicans in Congress to catch up with their own party and their country on this. I am not a dictator. I'm the president. So ultimately, if Mitch McConnell or John Boehner say we need to go to catch a plane, I can't have Secret Service block the doorway, right?
And when pressed, he said over and over he did not bear any responsibility.
Give me an example of what I might do. This idea that somehow there's a secret formula or secret sauce to get Speaker Boehner or Mitch McConnell to say, you know what, Mr. President, you're right. We should close some tax loopholes for the well-off and well-connected.
The president never mentioned and was not questioned about the fact his aides dreamed up the sequester. And in an exclusive interview with Fox News Sunday, Republican Mitt Romney charged Mr. Obama has never stopped campaigning.
Doing rallies around the country, flying around the country, and berating Republicans and blaming and pointing. Now, what does that do? That causes the Republicans to retrench and to put up a wall and to fight back.
Republicans are digging in and believe they're gaining steam because, unlike the fiscal cliff fight, so far they're not caving on taxes.
The president got his tax hikes on January 1st. This discussion about revenue, in my view, is over. It's about taking on the spending problem here in Washington.
And on spending, there actually was some agreement. Boehner and the president both said they want to avoid a government shutdown at the end of March, which means they plan to extend government funding at its current levels that were lowered by the Budget Control Act of 2011. In private, some of the president's aides say they're worried if people do not feel pain from the sequester early on, these even lower spending levels will be the new normal, which is why Mr. Obama was careful to recalibrate expectations about how bad it will be.
This is not going to be a apocalypse, I think, as some people have said.
Now, Republicans noting tonight it was the president and his cabinet that suggested some of those bad things were going to be happening. And if these cuts are not as bad as expected, it will be a lot harder for the president with these new lower spending levels to get new money to pay for some of the programs in his State of the Union, some of those legacy items like free preschool for every 4-year-old. Brett?
You know, Ed, the fact-checking is continuing even today. The president saying janitors at the Capitol would see their pay cut starting tomorrow, and the architect at the Capitol saying that's not the case.
That claim by the president getting 2 Pinocchios from the Washington Post because the architect of the Capitol saying that's not going to happen. I can tell you administration officials here insist, though, that part-time employees and contract employees in the Capitol will be impacted, so they believe that the president's claim was true. But as I noted, the Washington Post gave him 2 Pinocchios, a little better, though, than what the Education Secretary, Arnie Duncan, got a few days ago, which was 4 Pinocchios for claiming teachers were already getting pink slips. Brett?
Adding the Pinocchios. Okay, Ed, thank you.